mean, what a moment. Think about where 4 years ago Trump flushed from office. 4 years ago, not even getting calls from his own supporters in the Republican Party. The election that just played out, of course, was one where he was going to return to the presidency or he would go to prison for the rest of his life. Well, today he was back in the White House, ahead of returning on January the 20th. Unbelievable that these two blokes have ripped into each other as hard as they have. Well, this is what happened when two presidents look each other in the eye in the office that means the most to that country.
Do everything we can to make sure you're accommodated, what you need, and we're going to get a chance to talk about some of that today. So,
good.
Welcome
Thank you
back.
very much. And,
No, it's cold. It's not that cold for the fire. For his part, Donald Trump was rather polite about the bloke that he laid into and basically ended his political career at the height of the election season.
thank you very much. And politics is tough, and it's many cases not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate it very much.
Again, the remarkable nature of what happened here, because remember what these two blokes have said about each other for years and years and years.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of things is unconscionable, and it's un-American.
My supporters are far higher quality than Crooked Joe or Lion Kamala.
Now, I know some of you guys are tempted to think it's macho guys. I'll tell you what, man, but I'm serious. These are the kind of guys you like to smack in the ass.
I always find that particularly weird. But transfer of power, important. It was a failure of Trump not to do so in 2020. And Biden, well, again, for all of the criticism that many people have had, myself included, about him, his presidency, the tone of his presidency, for him to extend the hand the way that he did was a credit to his legacy. But I think he might be happy because, of course, he'll always be able to play out the 2024 election in a choose-your-own-adventure fashion, that if he had run, he would have won. But, of course, they pushed him out of the way and Kamala got her comeuppance. Which brings us to the Australian ambassador in the United States. Now, you've heard too much about this in the past couple of weeks, but let's be very clear. The reason Kevin Rudd is in a world of trouble is because he is an absolutely poor fit for the new broom that is coming to Washington. The only way that he was going to be a long-term option was if there was a Democratic president that was going to be there. Now, remember, to Kevin Rudd and Anthony Albanese's worldview, Donald Trump was never a chance of winning any election ever. And of course, we knew that the price of Kevin Rudd helping his former Deputy Prime Minister to win the 2022 election was that he would be sent to Washington. Now, of course, at the time we were told that's definitely not happening, but Each Way Albo, unsurprisingly, ended up doing the exact opposite of what he had said during a campaign. But since Donald Trump became close to the polls and let alone has won the presidency in the past week, all of the things that Kevin Rudd has said over the years about Donald Trump have resurfaced. And why wouldn't they?
Trump, at present, represents a political liability for both sides of Australian politics. This guy is a problem.
But the underpinnings of it were still incoherent because Trump himself was incoherent.
The United States in the last 4 years has been run by a village idiot.
Now, again, everyone has the right to have whatever view they want about a political leader, but of course there are consequences if the job that you want, the job that you have, is to deal with all types of people on the political spectrum, including the people that you have, well, frankly, called out, criticised, or frankly abused in a snobbish fashion, like Rudd has over Trump. Now, of course, when Trump was asked about this by Nigel Farage, you know what his position was.
I don't know much about him. I heard he was a little bit nasty. I hear he's not the brightest bulb, but I don't know much about him. But if he's at all hostile, he will not be there long.
Well, today, the uniformity of the political class to suggest that because Kevin wants the job, Kevin can have the job, and Kevin can have the job for as long as Kevin wants the job, because, in part, the political class is excited that there's a form of verbal handcuffs that are on him by having to represent the government rather than trying to sort of be some shadow prime minister or some alternative leader rolling around saying whatever he wants, was broken. And was broken by Peter Dutton. who, while not calling for a change in the Australian ambassador, obviously is in the right place, which is if we have a problem with our chief representative to the United States, it is a problem of this government's making because they decided to throw him in when, of course, there was always a 50-50 chance that Trump would come back.
The ambassador has to have a functional working relationship with the administration, whether that's a Democrat or Republican administration. Of course, it's not just Mr Rudd. I mean, we're talking about Mr Albanese and Senator Wong and others in the Labor Party who have seen fit to criticise President-elect Trump.